Hello, everybody. So great to be here on Facebook Live. It's been at least, I think, a week since I have done one last, and you guys know I love these. Coming on and just sharing my thoughts and my wisdom to help you guys become better people. Stop binge eating is really the big deal. So I'm going to make this short and simple and sweet. On this Facebook Live, I'm talking about why willpower is a lie. Now, if you're coming on and watching live, say hi. Hi, Mandy. So great to see you. Sending you love. Hope everything's going well. If you're watching the replay, please say hi, participate. So I'm excited to come on today and talk about why willpower is a lie and why you actually don't need it. Now, I don't think it's any news for me to come on and say that willpower doesn't work. I think that at this point, that's pretty well known in the industry that willpower is a limited supply, that it's not reliable. But I think most people still think that you need a little bit of willpower to stop binge eating or to lose weight or to stop overeating. But I'm here to tell you that you actually don't need willpower at all. And in fact, if you're using willpower, you're doing it wrong, and you're causing yourself extra pain. So I'm going to give you an example and kind of walk you through what willpower looks like, and then start telling you why you don't need it. So sorry, I'm a little bit sick today. I have some congestion going on, so bear with me. I'm also moving, so this is the only part in my apartment that's not packed too. But if you saw everything else, you would see boxes. So what goes on is, if you think about, I like using the analogy of a beach ball underwater. Okay, think about one of those big beach balls, and if you try to push it underwater, it only stays for underwater for so long before it comes back and it flips up. Okay, and so that's really what it comes down to. Willpower is that you're usually resisting it. So what this looks like with food, I'm going to give you an example. So you see your favorite food. My favorite food to binge on in the past was cookies. So let's say I'm triggered by cookies, and all of a sudden I have an urge. Now, what using willpower looks like is you see those cookies and you're like, oh my gosh, those look so good. I really want them, but I can't have them because I told myself I wouldn't. And this urge is really uncomfortable. And oh my gosh, I really want them. And why can't I have them? And you're arguing with reality. You wish it's different, that you wish you could have that. You feel that resistance in your body against the food because you feel like you're fighting it. You want it so bad, but you can't have it. And that feeling, that's resistance. And that's using willpower to not give in, because you're using your willpower not to eat that. You're doing everything that you can. You're white knuckling it. That doesn't work, because what happens is that you only have a small reserve of willpower. And throughout the day, when you use willpower, eventually you're going to be like, oh, I don't have enough willpower, this is too hard, and you just give in. And that's when you end up binging, and you go and you just make an excuse. Okay, what I want to have you do is I want you to think about switching your mind. What if you didn't need willpower at all? What if you didn't have to fight those urges? Okay, what if there was a way to have freedom with the food? Now, I want to tell you a story, and I know this was my battle most days, and I'm sure you can relate, where for me and most of my clients, I would wake up, I would go to work when I had a corporate job, and I would be triggered by something that would happen, and my first thing would be maybe to think about food. I would be like, oh my gosh, I need some food. So if I had food in my office, maybe I would start picking on that. But basically, I would use food to cope. And I know a lot of people that I work with, that's what they do when something comes up, when their kids, their husband, something triggers them, their go-to is they go to food, because that's how they know to feel better. And also too, I used to plan my binges all day long. Like I'd be triggered in the morning and my thought would be like, oh, screw it. When I get home, I'm going to binge. And then all day long, I would like think about the meal that I was going to binge on and like the food and the store that I would go to. And I would put all of this thought into this meticulous plan to binge. And there was like relief in like the thought of like eating this food. And I would plan it all day long. And then what happened is I would get home and I would be so stressed because I'd be beating myself up all day and my thoughts all day. And so of course, when I got home, I wanted to eat the food, and that's the only thing that I knew to make me feel better. So what happens is that when you rely on something outside of you, when you use food to feel better, and that's your coping mechanism, what happens is that you lose control, because you're not able to rely on yourself. And so when you're relying on something else outside of yourself, you don't have power unless you go to that. So every single time you feel stressed, you pick up the food, okay? So the reason why that you need, yes, Mandy, exactly, plan the binges. You know what I'm talking about. It was like that relief all day long where your brain, instead of having to deal with the emotions, you'd be thinking about planning your binge or thinking about the food. But once again, you're relying on that thing outside of you. So then what do you need? You rely on something outside of you, willpower, to not eat the food, and then it's not sustainable. So I am here, and by the way, I'm doing a free webinar tomorrow at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's why I'm here, to like tell you about this. And I'm just gonna plant this seed of like, you don't need willpower, so that you can show up and figure out exactly why. But the reason why you don't need willpower is because you can actually change, like what causes your feelings is your thoughts. And when you learn how to change your thoughts, which you're in control of, and you rely on something inside of you instead of outside of you, you don't even need the willpower, okay? Can you imagine that? Like having a tool inside of you where you don't have to turn to something to feel better, but instead you have that skill set inside of you in order to feel better immediately. It's a game changer. And on top of that, it's just the way that we think about food, and it's the habits that we have created with food. And when you can break certain habits, you don't need willpower at all. Now, I want to just create another scenario for you to think about so that you can start seeing what this looks like. Because if you're like me, I'm like, my whole life I was obsessed with food. My whole life I used food to cope. So I couldn't even think about what a life would look like without coping with food. And I was like, is that even possible? Because I'm like, that's my identity. It was so deeply ingrained. But I want all of you guys right now who's watching, I want you to think about somebody in your life, maybe a friend, maybe a family member, a spouse, who doesn't think about food, okay? And you know they don't think about food because they're the type of people that you go into their house and they have like a candy jar that's always filled with candy and they never eat, or they can have chips, they like keep chips on their counters, or they keep food in their house that I would never be able to keep in my house because I would just binge on it. And I like see that. Or when you go to like lunch with people, I'm like, I used to always be like, where's my food coming? Like, and then as soon as my food get there, I'd like eat it so fast. Where like I have friends that I go to lunch with, and they maybe have like one bite, and then they like forget about their food, and like they're maybe eating their fries. And I remember I used to like obsess over my friends' foods when I was obsessed over food, but like they never cared about their food. And the reason why they don't care about their food and they don't have issues with food is because of the way they think about food, which is what I help people do, is I help them think differently so that they don't want the food and they don't have to use willpower. So instead of using willpower to control, to like fight against the food and to have all this desire, we just change the root problem, which is you're thinking always, and you figure out how to feel better. And that's what I want to teach you. And so I'm going to be doing a free webinar tomorrow, Friday at 11 o'clock. Eastern Pacific time. Now, if you are on my email list already, you guys are going to be getting emails with the link. If you are not on my email list, if you want to go to this webinar and like want the link, and I'm not doing this on Facebook Live, okay, so this is off, like I usually do Facebook Lives, this is going to be using Zoom. It's super easy, you just get a link. So if you want to go to my webinar and you're not on my email list, either message me or just drop any emoji below in the comments and I'll message you the link so that you can come to this webinar. And what you're going to learn is I'm going to go deeper into why you don't need willpower. I'm going to talk about how to feel better without food so that you don't need food to cope, because that's really what we all want. We just want freedom. We don't want to use food to cope with anything. We want to just feel better. And then the last thing is I want to talk to you guys about why nothing else has worked and the one thing that actually works to stop binge eating. So if you want to come to my webinar tomorrow, 11 o'clock, drop an emoji below. I will send you the link. If you're already on my email list, which I know some people that are already watching are, you already have the link. I cannot wait to see you. If you are not free tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and you want to find out more information about how to do this, reach out to me, send me a message. I will set up a phone call with you and I will walk you through this process. The thing I want you to take away from all of this is, first off, there is nothing wrong with you. If you feel like something's wrong with you or if you have shame right now, it's because you're just thinking at it wrong. We need to get you stop relying on something outside of yourself and instead get in control of your thoughts and your food. So this is game changing. I'm so excited. Let me see. I have some. Can we watch the webinar? Hey, Shelly. Can we watch the webinar at a later time? Is it only available live? I have not decided on that yet. I possibly will be sending out the webinar. I will be doing this webinar a couple of times. So if anybody is interested, I promise at some point, either you will be able to catch it live or I will send you the replay. So because I want all of you guys to have this. This is like going to be my signature webinar. It's amazing. I actually had the privilege of getting to teach this material for my coach, my mentor, who has a membership site with thousands of people, and I did a class last week. Was it last week or this week? I can't remember, and I killed it. It was amazing, so I can't wait to share all of this information with you guys. So I'm going to head off. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. For those that want to go, if you're not on my email, send me a message or place an emoji, and I'll personally reach out to you. Yeah, Shelly, I'll go ahead and send you the link, and then so that you can be there, and I'll make sure eventually that everybody has the replay too. So have a great day.